Hello. Welcome back to me sitting alone in my room in a wig. Sorry I'm late. Spoiler alert. I've spent the last 48 hours rewatching the finale lip sync for the most recent episode. I can feel my body shutting down because I legitimately haven't done anything else but stare at Anitra. And yet, given the chance to do it all over again, I would choose to do it for longer. So yeah, I guess I'll just get right into it. So getting right into it. Sorry if you can hear the sirens. The police must know that I look really slay right now and they're coming to kill me. It starts with Lux being in like a mood that I'm living for. She is here to antagonize everybody, but like especially Lucy. So when Sasha's talking about like her most recent win, Lux like comments like, "Oh, 3 maxi challenge wins, like that's worth something." And it just cuts to Lucy again, hoping that she'll snap. It doesn't happen yet, but I can tell we're getting close. So keep pushing, Lux. I think you're definitely the person that can cause Lucy to finally lose it. But then, of course, Lucy shows us that she doesn't need any help being delusional or losing it, because after being told, I think for maybe 4 episodes like in a row, that it comes off poorly when she says, "I think I was like going to win and I'm mad that I didn't." She again says that and gets the same response she's been getting every time. And she looks like mystified, like, "Oh my God, I don't know why you guys are coming for me." Like, girl, you're losing it and I want you to lose it more. And then Lux also shows like, what does she say? Like, she's like, "Okay, Sasha's in first place, but I'm like first place at being second place. So like if you ignore Sasha being in first place, I'm actually in first place," which is like a level of delusion that I stan. Like, imagine if your brain just worked in that way, where you could just be in any situation and be like, "Oh, I'm the best." Like, despite everything else happening on showing that I'm not the best, like, I'm the best. I think that would be so fun. And I don't take that as a negative trait at all for Lux. In fact, I want it, again, to develop and get worse. So I can't wait to see that spiral. Maybe if Lucy gets eliminated, like Lux is the next one we start pushing. I think we could see her crack. And then Lux has that one thing she says where it's like, Lux says like, "Oh, the queen's coming for her crown." And then Lucy's like, "Yes, I am." And then Lux says, "I said queen, not beast." In that moment, if you would have handed Lucy any sort of weapon, I would go with a gun, but any weapon, I think we could have made TV history. But instead, everyone just kind of laughs. I wouldn't be laughing. I'd be scared. I'd be scared. This woman is being pushed to her limits, and she is going to lash out. And it might be toward everybody, not just Lux. So something's brewing there, something's evil. I completely stand by what I said earlier, where she is getting the psychological torture edit. And I think they're just going to do this every season from now on. So look out, girlies. And it's funny because like they do show some footage like where Lucy's like pretending to be Joey J and like everyone's laughing. And like Lucy looks fun. So they definitely had footage of her being like fun and not super serious, but like that doesn't work with the delusional edit, so we didn't really get any of that. And I think that's very whimsical. Good job, editors. Keep doing what you're doing. So then the girls come into the workroom kind of before the challenge, and a few things happen. First of all, Lux confronts Lucy about what I said. So she time traveled, watched me. She was one of the 10 people. And then she yelled at Lucy about not being pregnant in the Beyonce pregnant look, which so true. Why weren't you pregnant? And then Lucy, instead of just being like, "Yeah, I really should have like had a little bump or something," was like, "No, the Beyonce pregnancy look wasn't famous because she was pregnant. It wasn't a pregnancy reveal. Like, you couldn't see the baby bump." And I was like, then why is it the baby bump look if you couldn't see the baby bump? Lucy, you could see the baby bump. That's the point of the look. So that was weird as hell. And then like Lux made this excellent point, which I think if Lucy would have like leaned into it, would have been slay as hell. But she's like, "Girl, you were wearing a corset. Like, you can't do that when you're pregnant." I would have loved if Lucy was just like, "Yeah, I'm pregnant, I'm wearing a corset. Like, and what? What are you gonna do?" And then what does Lux say? She's like, she comes out as a conservative or something. She's like, I think all pregnant people should remain pregnant. After Roe v. Wade, Lux, no, not a good look. I don't know if that's what she meant, but that's what I heard. So like, I'm just gonna take it literally and run with it. I hope that's okay. So since Rue doesn't care about these girls' safety, he does announce that the mini challenge is a voguing challenge, and whoever loses will be executed by Aja. Very sad, very high stakes, but you know what? Anything for TV. So the girls have 15 minutes to get into quick drag, and some of them look better than they do normally. I think Marsha looked like kind of good, but I guess like all her drag is quick drag, right? Like if she doesn't wear a lot of makeup, like of course she doesn't look that different. What does that mean? No. But like we get this moment where I think we can tell like the psychological torture is hitting Lucy, because she walks out there looking crazy, does the strangest cartwheel I've ever seen, and then just starts blowing a whistle. I was scared for her, and I was scared for everyone watching. That just didn't look like a mentally well person in that moment, but it was good TV. So again, let's keep pushing. And then Selena starts like rolling around. You know, these girlies gave Aja plenty of ammo. She's sharpening the axe. She might execute quite a few of them, but yeah, Selena like took Death Drop literally, and it looked like she was trying to like actually harm herself or end her life, the way she was like throwing her body around. So that wasn't great. Loved Mistress. She's just like walking around at snail's pace, but then just systematically eviscerates every girl, like their deepest insecurity. She's like, Marsha, you don't wear enough makeup. Lux, you have rough skin, like, and just walks around yelling at people. I'm like, yeah, why vote when you can just terrify and harm other people? I love that. Anitra, of course, was the best. Everyone knew that. Walk that duck, she invented that. Aja, I'm so sorry, don't hurt me. But she was so good at cried. She looked rabid. And like later on the episode, she complains about a migraine. And I'm like, girl, you have a migraine because you were smashing your skull into the ground. Like, maybe she knows that. Maybe she knows where the migraine came from, but like she seemed like surprised. And I was like, I bet your head would hurt less if you inflicted less trauma on it, but I'm not a medical professional, so that could be bad advice. I don't think it is, but it could be. And then obviously they announced Anitra won. I manifested that, I think, and she wins a trophy, $2,500, and then also gets to decide the order for the challenge, which is like, I think more than the girls won in like season 1, which is crazy. So well deserved, Anitra. I hope you make $1 million more. Look, I found my necklace. There was like a sharp thing poking me, and I realized that my necklace had fallen under my very real human breasts, and I had to go retrieve it from under my breasts, which are real. So anyway, Rue explains the challenge, and it's a stand-up it's a stand-up challenge in pairs in front of a live audience. So I'm gonna be cringing again. Historically, some of the worst moments come from these, but also some of the best. You know, stand-up gave us like join, like you have a joiner, stuff like that. So you know, maybe we'll get cringe that's so cringy it like rolls over into being slay. Maybe. And then like when they're picking the order, it's like based on like the bubbly can they pull from a cooler. And can I be really like vulnerable and honest? I like to pretend like advertising doesn't work on me, but seeing bubbly on Drag Race, I was like, I'm gonna try it. I'm addicted to bubbly. I can't stop drinking bubbly. The bubbly bounce has a little caffeine in it. RuPaul got me addicted to drugs, and I'll never truly be happy or free again. And bubbly gets like an absurd amount of love from the show, so I'm so curious what that deal is. Like, is everyone okay? I don't know. Just a side tangent, but I'm curious. And as they're picking, like, if you have matching cans, that means you're paired up. And like, literally the first pair is Lux and Lucy. So like the illusion of this being like not staged was shattered. And I'm happy. I would never want it to actually be random because I want to see Lucy have a mental breakdown on camera. And I think Lux can make that happen. And I think the producers know that Lux can make it happen. So no notes here. And then the rest of the pairings, like there aren't, out of the rest of the people, I don't think there are any other spicy pairings. So like everyone else, it's just like Sasha and Nietra, Mistress and Marcia, and then Selena gets like the single can so she can choose to steal someone else's partner or just go solo. And she steals Mistress from Marcia, which I think is so smart, because I think Marcia's probably gonna flop while alone, and Mistress is really funny, so she'll probably be really good in the challenge. So 2 for 1, probably guaranteeing that at least Marcia's in the bottom. And yeah, I think that was smart. And she also says this thing, like when they're like, oh, you can choose someone else. And she's like, oh, goody, 2 titties are better than 1. And I'm like, girl, you have 2 titties. If you get a partner, that's 4 titties. But like, I do think it would be a fun idea to have 2 girls with 1 boob each, kind of like a uniboob. That could be fun. I don't know if that's what she was thinking. I don't think so, but that's where my mind went. So she took me on a fun journey. And Ali Wong is the guest. I know this guest. I'm so happy. I haven't known any guest ever, but I know Ali Wong. But I think it's almost worse that I know her because I would be so intimidated. Like if you know about her, you're like, oh, like I'm gonna flop and she's so much better than me and I'm ugly and hideous and stupid. So I think it was almost like a disadvantage to know who Miss Ali Wong was because then you can psych yourself out. And I think a lot of the queens did. So then in the workroom before the challenge, we see Anitra picking the order that the girls are going to be performing in. She chooses Marcia to go first, which I thought was like shady. Because I think it's hard to like open or close a show and Marcia's alone. So I thought that would be like very upsetting to Marcia, but she was just like, yippee, that's what I wanted. I was like, okay, she wanted to fail, that's fine. And then after Marcia, it's Lux and Lucy, then Sasha and Nietra, and then finally Mistress and Selena rounding out the show. Mistress immediately like tries to start drama with Nietra. She's like, so why did you pick the order that you picked? And Nitra's just like, not on my watch, none of your business, which is so true. These girls don't have to reveal anything, but half the time they will, just because someone asks, and then they get in trouble. But Anitra's right, like, none of your business. I don't have to say. So I love that. And then as we were kind of seeing the groups work together, I kind of got the feeling that like, wait, you know, Lucy and Lux aren't going to flop because they hate each other. Instead, like, it's almost a benefit because you're hearing them talk and they hate each other. Like, it's so visceral that like they can so easily make jokes about each other. Like, good mean jokes that really like slice into someone's insecurities. Like those are the funny ones, the ones that hurt more. So I actually think being able to make a cruel joke about your partner like so easily is maybe an advantage. And then the camera cuts to like Miss Marcia, who's like in the corner whispering about puberty, and I'm just, no thank you, I'm not interested in what you're selling. I don't want to view your performance, but I know I'll be forced to. I thought that part was really scary. And then Sasha mentions doing canned bits with Nietra. Like, the twins are gonna come for you on TikTok, on Twitter. No more canned bits. Never do another canned bit. It's illegal. And also, how dare you take that from them? That's like the one thing they have. So leave it alone. Stop bringing it up. And let the twins be. And then Nietra, the love of my life, talks about how she gets migraines. Me too, girl. I get ocular migraines too. So we're more connected than any of you could ever imagine or be, and I would love to sit next to her and be miserable. Fun fact, the way I found out about my ocular migraines was I was driving, and then I was like, ooh, my head hurts a little bit. And then I just started going blind. And then I just like completely lost my vision while driving. Like, this is the first time this has ever happened to me. And I just like pulled over. Like, I thought I had pulled over. I could have been in the middle of the road for all I knew, because I was legitimately blind. And then I was just like, oh, well, this is the most terrifying and horrible thing that's ever happened to me. But then, like, after like 10 minutes, I got my vision back. I was like, oh, okay, God is good. I guess I should tell my doctor about that, but I'm still probably going to put it off for like 3 months. And I did. But I'm okay now. Could someone blind look like this? No, because they would look better. Anyway, so then we get into the coaching with Ali Wong, and I'm so sick of this. Ali Wong immediately starts getting into scat too. We've got Lucy with the poop bags. We've got Love Connie talking about her digestive tract and eating the poo-poo. And now we've got Ali Wong saying like, oh, you got a huge chunk of poop. And I'm like, no more poop on RuPaul's Drag Race. I've had enough. So I don't know. Bad start for Ali. And then Lux does like more referential humor, which it's always good. Like, it's fun to like reference RuPaul's Drag Race. It's fun to reference like works RuPaul's done. But like, I still feel like I don't know who Lux is. Like, her references to like the sugar daddy scene. And I'm just like, she's good at that and clearly a super fan, but just like, I truly don't know who Lux is outside of like all the references she makes. So like, despite being really good on the runway and like funny, I don't know. I can't seem to connect with her like I do the other queens. Selena and Mistress are planning on talking about like hookups and drag, kind of doing like a story as their set, which could work, but I think that's hard when it's like two of them and they have to do two separate stories, because I feel like that's gonna be really long and they're both on like similar subjects, so I feel like it could feel really repetitive. So I didn't love that idea, but Mistress is funny, and I think Selena's really funny too. So like, I kind of had high hopes for them. And I thought it was funny how like all the other teams were like, we're gonna succeed or fail together, and then Mistress, like sensing that Selena was bombing a little bit, she was just like, if I even get like a whiff that Selena's flopping, I'm gonna throw her under the bus and then be the one that drives over her. Like, I will leave her for dead in an instant. And I was like, yeah, let her have it. That's not what happens. So maybe she should have kept that to herself, but I did enjoy the energy. And then, oh God, Dr. Michelle Medicine Woman says the least helpful thing to anyone who says like, I don't really feel well, when Anitra's talking about her migraines. Michelle's just like, oh, I get those too. You shouldn't feel bad. Like, get over it. I hope that helped. I hope you feel better. So that wasn't great. I didn't love that. And then to follow up that pain, I have to see Anitra flop a bit. She wasn't good. It was very awkward. I'll blame it on the headache. I will. But that really hurt my soul. I'm worried for Anitra. I'm worried for Sasha because she's paired with Anitra, and I don't think that funny all on her own. And I'm also worried about Marcia. So going in the challenge, very rocky. So we're back on the workroom before the challenge, and I forgot like how long this show is when it's back to 90 minutes. I was like, wow, there's a lot to review here. This is gonna be really long. But we see Lux, like, since she's partnered with Lucy, she can no longer like channel all her psychic assaults into Lucy because she doesn't want to like ruin her partner's life. So instead, Lux just chooses to like attack Marcia, which is fun to watch. Marcia looks uncomfortable, sounds like she doesn't have a good set. Like, I think they're setting her up to flop. And then the only other notable thing is like a conversation between Selena and Mistress, where Selena's like, hey, do you think you're funny because you're fat? And Mistress is like, no. Also, here's my family trauma. And I'm like, yes, okay. Love that. And it's always, Selena is always in, so, okay, first of all, Selena is involved in like all the trauma. So like, the producers must go over to her and like poke her and be like, go make your friend like have a bad day. But number two, Selena is always in like the exact same stage of makeup, like when they're having these vulnerable conversations where she looks crazy. And I feel like the editors do that on purpose. Like when they see she's in that stage of the makeup, that's when they run up to her and she's like, you have to do it now, because it looks insane. It's the kind of screenshot that I would just show people who like haven't seen Drag Race, and I'm like, this is what you're missing. Because wow, I would love to receive therapy from someone who looked at like that. And the thing is, like, Selena is so empathetic and like good to her sisters. I really love seeing this side of her, but like it is so hard to take her seriously when she looks like that. So we finally get to the challenge, and Marcia is the starter, and she immediately starts talking about puberty. It's really weird. Her set wasn't good. I don't really remember anything from it, except when she's like, she ends it by like pointing at T.S. Madison and being like, you make me nervous, you make me uncomfortable. And I'm like, girl, that's not the look when like last episode's conflict was you being unable to talk to someone who had an accent. Like, weird vibes. It's probably just the edit, and I don't think it's meant to be taken that way, but it was just like funny to me, like that Marcia's conflict always seems to be revolved around just like having to interact with people who aren't like her. And then Lucy and Lux come out, hilarious, very funny. They do a whole thing about like Lucy's teeth and how white they are, and then like kind of bounce off that to do like a bunch of fun jokes about each other, kind of talking about just like funny, whatever, white stuff that Lucy does. And then they end their set by coming for Nietra. So like, I hated everything they did. I don't think they deserve to win. And I don't know if either of them should ever be happy. But then we get to Sasha and Nietra, and well, look, she had a migraine. It's not her fault. Sasha let her down. But things are dark when within 3 seconds of your set, it cuts to Ali Wong and she's making a face like it was bad. It was bad. And then they mentioned canned bits again. If the twins were in that studio audience, they would have leapt onto stage and strangled Anitra. And honestly, like, they performed their canned bits so badly that it made me almost like appreciate and respect the twins, which is just like a really dark place for me to be, like, mentally and emotionally. And their set, they even have like the tried and true, like, Michelle's a man with big balls. Like, we've all, like, everyone said that. And if that's like the best joke of your set, that's not good. That's not good, babe. Something went wrong. So that was hard to watch, especially hard because my entire life revolves around Anitra. So yeah, not good. I expect them both to be in the bottom, honestly. And then Selena and Mistress kind of have like a no pressure set because, like, even though I don't think they did a good job, they came out after that. So like, I don't even remember what they said. Like, Selena was actually way funnier than Mistress, and Mistress had like way too much fluff, even though the edit was saying that like Selena doesn't know how to like cut down her jokes. I was like, no, it was actually Mistress. Selena was funny, and then Mistress just kind of told the same story but worse, which I think is like why they should have picked like different stories or just did one story and kind of like interacted more. It didn't work for me. It was a very long set and it wasn't funny the second time. So I think Mistress could have been in the bottom, but we got the flop-tinas of the century with Marcia, Anitra, and Sasha. So Mistress is safe just because there were people that were way, way worse. Also, there was this one point in Selena's set where she was like a pregnant Mrs. Claus, and then she says, like, the trade she was going after says, like, I want to feel the baby from the inside. What? That unlocked like new horrors in my mind that I didn't think were possible, but I found that also extremely delightful. Is that actually possible? Ladies, nurses, Anybody, let me know. Can that happen to babies? That's scary. I didn't even think about that. But you know what? Selena's safe in my mind for saying that. So yeah, I just thought I'd mention it. Then the category for the runway is rip her to shreds. To shreds, you say. Marcia comes out first. I bet Loosey was eating that up because she comes out in like the Miss Continental like winner sash, but her makeup's like running and it's all ripped because like, again, very conceptual. Marcia loves the concept. She's like, I won and the other girls didn't think I should, so they ripped up my like dress. And I was like, girl, I don't know. That seems like a premonition and not like a concept. Like, I think that's actually going to happen to you, like in real life. I think it just looked like Loosey's, so that's tough. And she gets that critique later. Spoiler alert. And then Loosey walked out and I was like, oh, I didn't even realize she was wearing an outfit. Like, I just kind of thought that's how someone looks after like 10 episodes of RuPaul trying to like systematically destroy your psyche. But then when she revealed like, oh, I'm a vampire, I was like, oh my God. I liked it. But like, she's having a Joker moment. I can see it. So excited for that. Very excited for that. Lux, always gorgeous. I will never say bad things about how she looks, but like, it's another recreation of like a RuPaul outfit, which I think is like smart for playing the game, and like later on that proves to be true. But again, I'm just like, what is Lux's point of view? Maybe I'm like just the only one who's like weirdly frustrated about that, but I'm just like, I don't know. I don't get who she is beyond like a Drag Race superfan, which is maybe like a point of view and kind of fun. Since she's so young, she probably like grew up with the show, but that's just like my one critique, because she always looks so stunning. I kind of have to pick at other things. Sasha, no notes. She kind of looks like me when I'm wearing like the jeans I've had since high school, that are literally just like deteriorating, but they haven't completely melted yet and they still fit, so why would I wear anything else? Nietra, she's conceptual, she's stunning. I love an asymmetrical look. She did say it was supposed to be like green, like a lotus. It looked black to me. I don't know if I'm just like blind. And then like during Anitra's like walk, Michelle rips into the camera, or Michelle whispers into the camera, ripped for her pleasure. And that gave me goosebumps. Like, girl, go to the ER. Don't be trying to spill that like it's tea. Like, you're having a medical emergency. You need to go. And then Selena, everyone's going like very conceptual. Selena is like a woman, like a Latina woman escaping to a better life. She explains how it's kind of like her mother. It didn't read that way to me. Like, would I have gotten that without her explanation? I don't think so. But I thought it was nice, and it was like a great idea. I actually think Ali Wong like had a good critique where she kind of had like this more traditional fabric on her back and was like, you should have made the entire dress like based on that, because like the dress she was wearing didn't necessarily read like Latina runaway. So I don't know. I think there were ways to improve it. I like the concept. I just don't think it really like was fully developed. And then finally, Mistress Isabel Brooks. I am impressed by her like time after time. She knows how to dress her shape so well. And even though like her concept was like this ripped and burned dress and the tools like popping out of it and it looks kind of like mangy, it still has like a very intentional shape, which I think is really hard to do with a garment that's like supposed to look kind of messed up. So respected that for her. She looked amazing. She was probably my favorite, honestly. Don't tell Nietzsche or I'll cry. She's having a tough episode. So for the critiques, first up is Marcia. She just got like hilariously blunt critiques. Michelle was like, you're not funny, next. And it's like, that's literally it. Like, you're not funny and you look like Loosey, which like, you look like Loosey in parentheses derogatory. So like, they just said that and it's like, next. So then they go to Lucy and they're like, no notes, you did a great job. And I'm like, if they deny her the win after being like, you were great and like I wouldn't change anything, I would eat that up. So I'm hoping for that. And Lux gets pretty much the same thing since they were a duo. They were definitely the best group. So that just goes to show like a hate-filled heart does a body good. They both slayed. And then Rue does have like a very like Rue almost cries seeing Lux's look. So like maybe Lux is doing all these references to like play the game. And if so, like I respect it. Ignore what I'm saying. You can also just ignore what I'm saying otherwise, because I'm just a random man in a wig who needs to sleep. Sasha, no more weed jokes. No more Michelle's a man jokes. Like I'm sick with it. I'm sick of it. You know, Ali said like, you talking about Michelle's fresh balls were the peak of the performance. Like that's bad. That's not a compliment. Like that's not good. And then Nietra gets torn to shreds, which was hard to watch. But I guess getting eviscerated and verbally like torn to shreds fits the runway. So maybe she'll get extra points as she's sitting there, just ripped up. And then, yeah, Selena doesn't get really any bad critiques. I think she was the stronger out of like Selena and Mistress. And Ali gives that critique I talked about. And then finally, Mistress didn't get as harsh of critiques as I expected. And I think this is where, like, at this point, the producers have realized that Mistress is amazing TV and they are going to push her to the end no matter what. And I think because of her Lollapalooza, like, performance, I think they know that if they pair, like, say, Nietra and Mistress up together, or, like, Sasha and Mistress up together, Mistress is probably going home. So I think they just, like, gave her very neutral to, like, good critiques, honestly, and, like, let her be, even though I think she could have gotten a lot worse. So, hey, sometimes being sassy will get you dragged to the finale no matter what. Not that she doesn't deserve it. I was surprised that she wasn't in the bottom. Following the critiques, we see that Selena and Mistress are immediately safe. I think that was expected based on like everything we had heard. And then Rue reveals that Lux and Lucy are the joint winners of the challenge. I feel like they don't do joint winners a lot. And my conspiracy theory is like, this is a way to give Lucy a win without it being her win. So whenever she brings it up, Lux can be like, well, yeah, I carried you. Or like Lux will be like, that's my win too. So like Lucy won, but like she didn't really win, which I think is just like another like knife in the neck. The producers are finding like new ways to punish her, which is really exciting. They're, with all this like data and knowledge they've gained, they're going to be able to break a girl next season like instantaneously, and I will eat that up. So then out of the remaining queens, we've got Marcia, Sasha, and Nietra, and it's revealed Sasha is safe, and it's going to be Nietra versus Marcia. That has me worried. Like, Nietra had a headache. Maybe she's not going to be performing at her best. Marcia's a really good performer. So, like, this isn't one of those moments where I'm just like, oh, phew, like, Nietra's safe no matter what. I'm like, uh-oh, this could go either way. And it's revealed that Nietra and Marcia will be lip-syncing to Boss Bitch by Miss Doja Cat. And wow. After some of the, like, truly, even last episode, a truly rancid lip-sync performance, we got what I would say is, like, one of my top threes. Like, there's this moment where Marcia's doing, like, God knows what, like, a back. I can't even, like, pretend to do, like, 1/4 of it. But like Anitra just like looks over and sees her doing that and just like is like, okay, well, I'm gonna jump over this hoe while she's like on the ground, and she literally just like free willies right over her. It's wild. I feel like no one's ever done that before, and it was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. And then like Anitra does this thing that I really appreciate, and I've kind of talked about this before, where like I hate when girls just like remove all the annoying parts of their outfit beat one. Anitra's really good about like removing things while she's doing like a twirl, or like later on the song, or like on beats, or like moments where it makes sense, like not a really intense moment. She like gets off all the annoying stuff but does it in a way where it's not super distracting. So I think that's a big strength for her. And then gosh, she does this thing like near the end where she literally just like puts her legs up and just drops on her tailbone. And what? How is she not dead? That happened to me once when I fell off a rock climbing wall and tore my meniscus. I looked like that, except instead of being like slay and like cunty, it just ruined my life. But Anitra's just like, she can just do it for fun. That's wild. And yeah, like after Anitra did the Free Willy, I wasn't really nervous for her. I was more thinking like, is this going to be a double Shantae? Or, you know, like it never even crossed my mind that Anitra could go home. And yeah, it wasn't a double Shantae. I think it could have been. Anitra wins, duh. And as Marshall's walking away, Lux gets in one more dig by calling her Marshall. And then, I don't know, Marcia says something about having like a heart murmur or something. I was looking at Anitra. I wasn't really listening to Marcia. And I loved how like Marcia's writing in the mirror. She's like, I really fixed my makeup skills. And then the camera just like zooms in on her. And she's wearing probably like, it's like intentionally bad makeup because that was like the torn to shreds runway. But just like, I think it was the cameraman being shady. Like, no, you didn't. You look crazy. So yeah, that's the end.